Armstrong, and welcome to Alexander Armstrong's Big Ask, the show in which I not only ask my guests for their answers, I ask them for the very questions, too. This show doubles as a handy storage box for fascinating facts, such as the tallest tree ever was an Australian eucalyptus which grew to 435 feet tall. The same tree holds another record. It's the home of the most shit-scared koala. Going on the show tonight, I have three comedy stars whose work I have always admired from afar. I really must push the sofa closer to the TV. Please welcome Clive Anderson, Rebecca Front and Mark Steele. Lovely to have you here. Thanks so much for coming. Well, now. Welcome. Rebecca, you've been playing a politician these last few times I've seen you.
You're thumping the dispatch box.
Well, there we are. I've been enjoying you very, very much in the thick of it.
Have you been enjoying it?
I have rather.
Good, thank you.
Clive. I keep reading about sort of ex-politicians who are friends of yours. You've never been tempted to get in the thick of it?
No,
I'm sorry,
I'm tempted to be in the thick of it. I auditioned for your role, but I wanted somebody more feminine and better at acting. That Pointless is very good, isn't it? That's a great programme.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, Richard's very good at it.
He is very good.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
He makes it.
He makes it.
He makes it for me.
I love him.
And the contestants are all good sorts, aren't they? Good.
Really
and the format's very good. Anybody really could present. Oh, yeah, well... I love it.
Yeah, he does make it. Now, Mark, you've become a bit of an expert on useless facts about British places.
Yeah, I do the show on the radio called Mark Steele's in Town, where I go to sort of towns and just try and find out as much about it as I can and do a show about the town to the people there. I was in Skipton and the audience was calling all sorts of things out, and I noticed that there was a town around the corner called Keighley, and I said, oh, is that the rival town then, Keighley? And it just went chillingly quiet, and this one woman went, Keighley is a sink of evil.
Oh, thanks very much. Well, listen, it is time now to unleash round one. I have picked a category for each of you. All you have to do is concoct a question that will flummox your fellow guests. And the first person to go is Clive, and the category you have chosen for you is a royal one. The most famous king to have actually died on the throne. Yes, it is Elvis. I actually have a tattoo of the king on my back. It was not Elvis, it's the chess piece. But,
You just sit on a chess piece and it embedded itself in your buttock.
not my bum.
Oh, sorry, what did you say it was?
I said on my back.
Oh, I heard backside. I don't know.
I see, there we are.
This is the sort of conversation I expect to hear when I'm 93 in a home. I've got the king on me back, up your arse, no. Elvis, no, he's dead, is he?
So, Clive, what's your question going to be?
Now, when Elvis Presley was at the height of his power, he had a part-time job for which he was uniquely unqualified. What was it?
Oh, very
We're
good.
talking about 1970, that sort of time.
Oh, right.
In your life story,
Yes.
which phase of the Elvis life do you think you're in at the moment? Are you in, is it Vegas, Clive Anderson?
I'm not sure I really mapped my life against Elvis Presley.
Oh, come on, I know. I've seen you in a cape with your rhinestones.
No, you haven't. Well, at least you weren't supposed to. I was hiding in that bush for completely different purposes. No, I think I'm virtually at the groaning and moaning on the lavatory phase of Elvis Presley's life. That's roughly where I am.
OK. Now, Mark, have you got an answer to this?
I think the clue was uniquely unqualified. I think he was a nutritionist.
Rebecca.
I went for Hotel Porter, because I was thinking down at the end of Lonely Street. He might have been, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it was called Heartbreak Hotel. You think, oh, and where else there's an Elvis theme? Blimey, the man taking my bags. He looks just like an old fat Elvis. That's... Oh, sorry, that was you, Elvis.
Clive, really? Are either of these two right?
No, the real answer is even more surprising and sort of bizarre. He was... he volunteered to be an FBI agent. He wasn't particularly well qualified because to be an FBI agent would be a bit undercover, I suppose. And since he was one of the most famous men in the world, he wouldn't be able to do it. But he wrote to Richard Nixon, wrote a long handwritten letter and had a meeting with Richard Nixon, gave Nixon a present, bizarrely, which was a Colt 45 gun, to sort of encourage the whole idea, and he was duly appointed as...
one of those rare bad decisions Nixon ever made. Yes, in his war on drugs, Nixon employed Elvis as a federal at-large. Really, it was the at-large bit, I think, that Elvis really excelled at there, wasn't it? Anyway, listen, while we're on the subject of American music, I'm going to speak to Mr. Rory McGrath, if he's there. Rory, how are you dressed up as well?
I'm quite nervous because this is the first time I've done one of these things with all my clothes on.
He actually hasn't got any trousers on, so if he goes
Yes, I'm going to have to go back to what I was doing before you came online, yeah.
You're a massive fan of American music, aren't you?
Ever since I've been a little boy, I wanted to be an ageing rock star. 20 years ago, I started my own band. It was actually a blues band, which we called Blue, because we like to keep things simple. And that sort of morphed into a reggae band, which we called Reg. And then it became a country band, and we couldn't think of a name, really, so...
But country music is somehow particularly suited to comedians, isn't it?
Well, I think it's good because it's lyric-led. You can actually make verbal jokes. It's something particularly un-English. I think the Americans do it much better because Americans can manage to do sincerity and insincerity at exactly the same time. I've written an all-purpose country song which combines all the elements of country music. Can you see the guitar in shot, by the way?
Not quite, no.
Good, because somebody else is playing it. Things have not been easy down along the years. Guess you could say I've had a tough old life. A one-eyed 17-year-old rent boy from Algiers ran off with my ever-loving wife. Both my kids got killed in a plane crash. My dog got hit by a tram. I've got no job and I've got no dough and I lost my balls in Vietnam. I spend all day taking smack, drinking beer, lying on my back, playing my Xbox and watching porn, eating pizzas and smoking crack.
Thank you very much indeed. Wonderful. Thank you. Fantastic. Rory McGrath, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, back to the show. Clive, your question was, what was Elvis Presley's unlikely part-time job? And as we have learnt, they put the wolf in charge of the henhouse and made him an FBI drugs enforcement agent. So thank you very much indeed to Clive. You take away 10 points from that. Very well done. Very well done indeed. So, Rebecca. Yeah, now, listen, I've decided that you go from strength to strength. You are the cat that has got to the cream. So for you, the category is going to be dairy products. There we are. There's a cow asking for a happy ending there. Yes. Now, Rebecca, what is your question going to be on dairy products?
OK, my question is, what would you do with a groaning cheese?
Groaning cheese.
Would you let it host Strictly Come Dancing?
You're
what would
angling
you
for
do?
his job, aren't you?
Not long now. There we are. So then, what would you do with a groaning cheese? Well, Clive and Mark, to your tablets.
We've got to...
There you are. I know.
It's so much better than a piece of paper and a pencil, isn't it?
Do you like a good pungent cheese, Rebecca?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, good.
Yes,
good.
I do.
How are you with smelly things? Are you?
You old charmer.
Well, Rebecca's question was, what would you do with a groaning cheese? Clive.
Well, in my experience on quiz shows, cheese it's always about the maggots in the cheese that you're supposed to eat. So my answer is eat the maggots to stop it groaning. I reckon the maggots are making the groaning noise.
Right.
Maggots groan?
Well, if they all get together and make a lot of noise...
You know that's...
As a groan.
Maggots would you have to get to hear...
You're confusing a moan and a groan there.
Oh.
That's a moan. A groan is... Yes, so, Mark.
I think you ride it down a hill.
In a carnival.
Ride it in a carnival.
Are either of these people right, though? That's the thing.
No, they're not. What you'd actually do with a groaning cheese is you'd pass a baby through it.
Pass the baby through it?
Yes.
Is it soft cheese?
Well, you'd have to
No,
do
you
it.
have to eat the cheese first. So it's the rind that's the crucial bit. When
You eat the cheese
You'd have
and
to do it.
pass the baby through it.
No, no, no. You'd have to do it very carefully.
Vonda, do you...
Can you,
relax?
When a woman got pregnant, she would make a cheese, and the cheese would ripen for the 9 months of the pregnancy. And when the baby was born safely, you would then celebrate by getting your friends and family around. You'd eat the cheese, and when you've just got the rind left, you pass the baby through the rind for good luck.
Oh, that's much better. When you said you ate the cheese, then you passed the baby through it, I had a horrid image. I didn't work out how that would work. That was
By the soft
cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Why is it groaning, though? Why is it... I don't
well,
understand why the
because
cheese is
groaning
groaning.
used to be the word for labour pains.
So you've got to get rid of half your possessions, paint the spare room, and then you've got to make a bloody cheese. One theory for the origin of the name groaning is that it's thought to be a reference to the sound of a woman giving birth. So they're going to call it "Don't you ever come near me again, you bastard cheese." I imagine. Rebecca's question was, what would you do with a groaning cheese? And the answer was, pass a baby through it. So, yes, 10 points to Rebecca. Nobody got your answer. Very well done. Very well done indeed. Now, Mark, you are next. And for you, I have chosen changing the world as the topic. Might as well talk about it, because we'll never actually do it. What is your question going to be?
In America, there was an inventor by the name of Samuel Clemens, who was not particularly well known as an inventor, but he did invent one thing in his inventing career which has changed life for women ever since, to the extent that probably every woman at some point has used his invention.
That's the question.
Wow.
That is the
So,
question.
what, who was Samuel Clemens and what did he invent?
Ah.
Mark, do you ever dabble in inventing? Do you ever have you got something you would take to the Dragons if you were summoned tomorrow?
I always think, do you know the television I would love to invent if I was on Dragon's Den? It would be one where you could turn it on and off with a switch that said on and off. Equally, I had a mobile phone and I was talking to someone on it and then it suddenly went dead and I thought, what's the matter with it? And I looked and it's come up mute. And I think, what genius invented a mute option on a phone? I thought, what a mute phone? I'm just talking to a carrot, it's mute!
This is like a special edition of Grumpy Old Men. Isn't it?
Just before they come round with our medicines and some soup. Mark asked, who was Samuel Clemens and what was his invention which every woman uses all the time? Rebecca, I'm going to come to you first.
Well, I thought, when you said Samuel Clemens, I thought, wasn't he Mark Twain?
He was indeed, yes.
That ruined your answer. So then I thought maybe he invented, I don't know, steamboats or whittling.
Used by women daily.
You see my problem? And I thought maybe bra. That was the only thing I could think of that was specific to women. And
Clive, what have you got?
So I think I've got this right.
Yes.
But disappointingly, it turns out it's either right and Rebecca's got the same answer, or we're both wrong. So it's Mark Twain I was confident of, and I put bra down.
That is almost exactly the right answer, except it's the little hook at the back that that causes so many problems for 17-year-old boys.
those hooks and eye things are on lots of different garments. So did he specifically invent it for a bra?
Well, he specifically said he invented it when his wife came in and found him with a bra. And he said, I just invented this.
So, Mark, the question you asked was, who was Samuel Clemens and what was his invention that is used by women every day? And the answer was the bra strap clasp. So well done, Clive and Rebecca, for getting that right. That's 5 points each. Brilliant. That's it for part one. See you after the break. Welcome back. In 1836, the Mexican general Santa Anna held an elaborate state funeral for his amputated leg. According to accounts, it was a shallow grave, just 1 foot underground. Now, time for our next round, which is Ask a Celebrity. In this round, the panel get to ask a celebrity anything they want, with the added bonus that the celebrity isn't in the room. OK, here we go. Blonde Bond. Here he is, Daniel Craig.
Oh, look at him.
Brilliant reaction.
I'll say, do you want to fight?
Next, Mr. Posh, David Beckham.
I hear you earn a packet, but do we have to look at it?
Picky Dragon, Deborah Meaden.
Oh, right.
She's a bit like the Dragon's Den in here.
If you are really a successful, hugely wealthy businesswoman, why are you so perpetually miserable?
She's actually really nice. Maybe she's like a politician.
I've heard that.
She's actually
Apparently she is.
lovely.
Yeah.
I've been on Question Time a couple of times. It is quite a peculiar thing when you realise how friendly they are. It is disarming. I was next to David Willits, the Conservative MP, who's not someone whose views I'm going to agree with, really. And just beforehand, he sort of leant over and he said, now, the main thing is not to be nervous. Whatever you do, don't be nervous. Just sort of get stuck in and get cracking and it'll all be fine. During the programme, I went mad at him, sort of absolutely went into this big rant at him. And then, as it was ending, and the signature tune was coming over, he leant over to me and he said, I told you you'd be fine if you just got stuck in. That was marvellous. I said, look, I was just screaming at you. He said, yes, that's the spirit. Jolly well done. He said, no, I think we jolly well deserve a drink after all that hard work. You can't help liking him then, can you?
So you've joined the Conservative Party now, have you?
Next, bespectacled pin-up, Gareth Malone.
Can I see your ID, Sonny?
Yeah. I don't know who he is.
Oh, he's the choir man. Oh, he's lovely. See, I'm
trains people to
over
sing.
40, so
Oh,
I think
OK.
he's lovely. All women over 40 have to love Gareth Malone.
All right.
It's a law, actually. They passed a law.
Next, novelty songsmith, Simon Cowell.
Do you even like music? What if Britain doesn't have any talent?
You've made so much money. You're so extraordinarily famous all over the world. When are you going to retire, you bastard?
Well played, everyone. A fabulous round, but I think the clear winner of that is, of course, Mr. Clive Anderson.
Oh,
very well done. Brilliant, very good indeed. Now, our next round is inspired by an object I have found in the Armstrong collection, something so extraordinary it will make you question everything you thought you knew about patisserie. Steady your stomachs and behold. Look at this.
Ooh.
Look. There we are. Yes, it is an arm anatomically correctly made out of cake. Probably not the most sensitive birthday cake to send over to Abu Hamza, but there we are. So, yes, inspired by this bakery horror, I have chosen for you the category of bodies. So I'd like a question from each of you, and I will choose my favourite question. Now, I'm going to come to you first, Clive.
OK, this is the question. How might you bake a loaf with your hair?
How might you
Bake a loaf with your hair.
bake a loaf with your hair?
Yeah. Why are you acting surprised every time I ask you a question? You're in charge of the whole programme.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking why, but there we are. How? Let's deal with
Why?
the hows first, but yes.
Well, why?
OK, there we
Why
are.
might you bake a loaf with your hair?
OK, very good. And I'm going to come to you, Rebecca. What is your question on the subject of bodies?
My question about bodies is, in matters sexual, why does size matter?
OK, very good. Mark.
What is the coldest way of disposing of a dead body? Oh. Yeah, it's a question that just pops up all the time in conversation.
The coldest way to dispose of a dead body, the size matters thing, and then the baking hair. I'm afraid I'm drawn to that. I'm drawn, as always, to the hair there.
Yes.
Yes, I think I'm going to go with your hairy baking question, I think,
OK.
Clive. So, Rebecca, quickly, then why? Why size matter? Why does it? Why does it matter?
You're slightly going to regret asking, actually, because it's not the size of the member, which I've no doubt you were thinking. It's actually something even more repellent than... Not that that would be repellent. That would be
I'm just
lovely.
picturing Eric Pickles.
Anyway, the size...
And his cock.
Yes.
The size that matters in matters sexual is the distance between the genitals and the anus. The anogenital distance. And the reason it matters is because it dictates fertility, apparently.
Do you know how when you ask a question like that, everyone's eyes go right up in the air? Your hands are on view.
Not looking.
Wow.
But yeah, if you've got a short distance, it's the perineum, I think, is the area.
Right.
And if you've got a short
That's a big theatre in London, isn't it?
Yeah.
I played it, I died there. If you've got a short distance between your, parts, apparently that can mean you're less fertile. And, of course, it's a nice sort of exterior way... Not nice, let's be honest, but it's a non-invasive way of finding out how fertile somebody is.
So
Sounds a bit
couples that are
invasive.
trying...
It is quite invasive.
Somebody with a tape measure sticking their head. I call that invasive.
a couple wants to try to have a baby, they could sort of bend over, tape measure and go, oh, that's why.
That is brilliant. Mark, I'm going to move swiftly on to yours. What is the coldest way of getting rid of a body? Was that
How
right?
am I going to compete with that? The coldest temperature at which a corpse can be disposed of is minus 196 degrees centigrade. And there is a company that has come up with this method whereby they freeze a corpse in liquid nitrogen and they then sort of put it in a vacuum and reheat it a little bit. And then they use magnets on it to draw out all the metal from a corpse.
Is this a Heston Blumenthal recipe?
Very well done. Clive, you have asked, why might you bake a loaf of your hair?
Yes. It's got an intriguing feel to it, but I think that thing about the perineum is going to live with me.
You're going straight
The
to the
thing you've
tape
got to
measure when you
bear,
get
but
home.
just bear this in mind, and this is a tip to you as an older man to you, those sort of metal tape measures, if you're thinking about using one of those, they do sometimes go back in. They could take a bit of you with them, so just be careful.
You haven't done any baking with hair, incidentally, have you?
I haven't. No, this is...
It's an old practice, I'm guessing, yes.
Yes.
Well, would be in your case.
Well, Alexander, now let me see.
Rebecca, have you got an answer to this question?
All I've thought is that it's a plaited loaf.
Plaited loaf,
Therefore, but that's not a reason why you would do it. I really cannot fathom why you would want to do that. It seems to me utterly stupid.
Yeah.
And I'm cross.
OK. Mark, why might you bake a loaf of your hair?
Is an ideal replacement for yeast. And therefore, if you run out of yeast, the hair helps the loaf to rise.
You say with such confidence.
It's completely convincing, that. I bet it's true.
This is hair-raising, is what you're saying.
What is the real answer?
This is a method for making a wig. And to make a wig, you used to bake it in a loaf. And what you do is you get your hanks of hair and wrap it round, it'd be like sort of china. Then you wet it and boil it. And then you put flour around it, and that's called a loaf. And then you cook that loaf. And when it's finished, you take it out, get the flour off, and as quickly as you can, because it should dry out when it's warm. And that was called baking a loaf of hair.
OK.
I used to be a barrister, and you wear a sort of wig when you're barristering. And I look at it every day, in fact, my barrister's wig. In fact, I use it as an oven glove. So,
do you? At the end of that round, it's full marks to Clive for coming up with such a brilliant, follically challenging question. Fantastic.
I thought I'd engage you in this. I think it's an area that we're...
10 points. Very, very well done indeed. Very well done. Well, it's time now for the final round, and prepare yourselves. I'm going to fire a stream of subjects at you, and I want you to fight back with relevant questions. And then people then have to answer relevantly. So a point for a question and a point. Buzz when you think of a question, and buzz if somebody knows the answer. And we start with words. Yes.
Where does the word quiz come from? As in to mean a quiz, like we're sort of doing now.
Don't know.
It was a guy in Dublin said he would invent a word. In fact, the word quiz did sort of exist, but he'd invent a word and get it taken up. So he went around writing the word quiz up everywhere, bits of card everywhere, and everyone said, what's this? What's this mean? What's a quiz? So it became to mean quiz itself, the questioning process.
Yes.
Right, what is the French word to purr, as in a cat that purrs? Someone in the audience suggests it's meow. The brilliant thing is, it's just sort of, it illustrates the difference between the French language and our language, in a sense, because it's just so beautifully descriptive of what a cat actually does. A French cat.
What is it?
It's ronronné.
Oh, that's
Do it
lovely.
again.
Le chat est content, oui. In German, it's probably Katzen snorren.
Discoveries. Yes.
In 1948, a Swiss inventor, let's call him, discovered something by looking at his dog. What was it?
Is it gramophones? You're just thinking...
What might you see when you're looking at a dog? You come in for a walk in the countryside and you look at
Oh,
his
yes,
dog.
a dryer, hand dryer.
No,
Was
not
that
a hand
something
dryer.
A dog dryer.
No, not a dog dryer. No, he's got stuff attached to his
Ticks.
fur. Things,
Mud.
burrs attached to his fur. Oh, it's sticking. That's sticking. That's useful.
Velcro.
Velcro.
Brilliant.
You get-
Very well done. Next one. Clowns.
Oh.
Oh. Do you know the name for a fear of clowns?
Is it chlorophobia or something
Very close. Coulrophobia.
like that? What's the connection between clowns and a wookie hole? Well, not a wookie hole. Wookie hole. Your question.
Wookie Hole where the witch lived.
Well, it's a place. It's a place
Yeah.
called
Place in
Wookie Hole.
Somerset.
Some, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know.
There's a thing called Clowns International, and you can register your particular design of clown face.
Oh, right.
And the way they do it, or did it, was to put it on an egg. But there's a museum in Wookie Hole where you can see these, you know, Grimandi and Grimondi or whatever it was, and all these clowns. And if you've got one with a teardrop on that side, then people can't have that. So it's a clown
Very good indeed.
registration place.
What's Krusty the Clown's real name?
Is it not Mr. Krusty or
No.
Mr. Clown? No.
Oh, I'm desperately trying to think what it is, but it's something...
I think the rule of questions, you have to know the answer, otherwise...
Yeah.
It's like when Jeremy Paxson on University Challenge. Well, what was the first animal to be made out of...
Yes.
I don't know. Well, neither do I. Never mind.
Phosphorus nitrate.
Okay.
Phosphorus nitrate was discovered
Yeah.
by which prominent Belgian biochemist?
Next one. Next one.
Is this the quick fire round?
Well, quick-ish, yes. Next, Italy. Clive.
This is a trivia question, and it is about trivia. What does the word trivia mean? Where does it come from? It's from the Latin, so that's why it's an Italian question. Tri via. What's a via?
Street.
Street.
Three
Tri.
streets.
Three streets. Three streets meeting. Where three streets met is where people used to hang around and talk about, made small talk, and talk about trivia.
It's the water cooler.
It is, essentially, the water cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There you are.
Trivia.
These Italians used to meet where three streets met, and they would stand
Chat.
around saying things like, "Who was the first Doctor Who's assistant?"
Yes.
Well, that's it. That's the end of the round. Please power down. Feel free to discharge some fantastic questions, some fantastic-ish answers there. But I think there is a clear winner to our quickfire question round, and I'm going to call it Clive Anderson.
Oh, well, thank
Yes,
you very much.
there we are. Very well done.
Better on this recording than I have done.
Very well done indeed, Clive. In fact, you are the winner of the show. I would like the winner,
fantastic.
Clive, to accept this badge that was sent to me over 3 decades ago by the Blue Peter production team for thanking me for a poem I sent in about worms. So there we are, and I'm going to hand
Your
that
Blue
over.
Peter badge?
Yes, yes.
I can't accept it.
You must. There we are.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'll give you a photocopy of the accompanying letter from Biddy Baxter, if you like.
This Blue Peter badge doesn't belong to me.
Yeah,
it
no,
belongs to you.
well,
It belongs
you
to
know.
the whole team.
It belongs to all of us. That only leaves me to say many, many thanks and good night to Clive Anderson, Mark Steele and Rebecca Front. I'll leave you with this little gem. The average human being passes wind 14 times a day. So if you want to cheer yourself up, just remember the Queen is a human being. Good night. Welcome to Alexander Armstrong's Big Ask, the show in which I not only ask my guests for their answers, I ask them for the very questions, too. This show doubles as a handy storage box for fascinating facts, such as the tallest tree ever was an Australian eucalyptus which grew to 435 feet tall. The same tree holds another record. It's the home of the most shit-scared koala. Going on the show tonight, I have three comedy stars whose work I have always admired from afar. I really must push the sofa closer to the TV. Please welcome Clive Anderson, Rebecca Front and Mark Steele. Lovely to have you here. Thanks so much for coming. Well, now. Welcome. Rebecca, you've been playing a politician these last few times I've seen you.
You're thumping the dispatch box.
Well, there we are. I've been enjoying you very, very much in the thick of it.
Have you been enjoying me very much?
I have,
That's
rather.
nice. Good, thank you.
Clive. I keep reading about sort of ex-politicians who are friends of yours. You've never been tempted to get in the thick of it?
No,
I'm sorry,
I'm tempted to be in the thick of it. I auditioned for your role, but apparently I wanted somebody more feminine and better at acting. That Pointless is very good, isn't it? That's a great programme.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, Richard's very good at it.
He is very
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
He makes it.
Now,
He makes it.
really-
He makes it for me.
I love him.
And the contestants are all good sorts,
Oh,
aren't they?
marvellous,
And
really
the
good.
format's very good. Anybody really could present. Oh, yeah, well... I love it.
Yeah, no, he does make it. Now, Mark, you've become a bit of an expert on useless facts about British places.
Yeah, I do the show on the radio called Mark Steele's in Town, where I go to sort of towns and just try and find out as much about it as I can and do a show about the town to the people there. I was in Skipton and the audience was calling all sorts of things out, and I noticed that there was a town around the corner called Keighley, and I said, oh, is that the rival town then, Keighley? And it just went chillingly quiet, and this one woman went, Keighley is a sink of evil.
Oh, thanks very much. Well, listen, it is time now to unleash round one. I've picked a category for each of you. All you have to do is concoct a question that will flummox your fellow guests. And the first person to go is Clive, and the category you've chosen for you is a royal one. The most famous king to have actually died on the throne. Yes, it is Elvis. I actually have a tattoo of the king on my back. It was not Elvis, it's the chess piece. But,
You just sit on a chess piece and it embedded itself in your buttock.
not my bum.
Oh, sorry, what did you say it was?
I said on my back.
Oh, I heard backside. I don't know.
I
what
see, there we are.
This is the sort of conversation I expect to hear when I'm 93 in a home. I've got the king on me back, up your arse, no. Elvis, no, he's dead, is he?
So, Clive,
Yeah.
what's your question going to be?
Now, when Elvis Presley was at the height of his power, he had a part-time job for which he was uniquely unqualified. What was it?
Oh, very
We're
good.
talking about 1970, that sort of time.
Oh, right.
In your life story,
Yes.
which phase of the Elvis life do you think you're in at the moment? Are you in, is it Vegas, Clive Anderson? Or is it...
I'm not sure I really mapped my life against Elvis
Oh,
Presley.
come on, I know. I've seen you in a cape with your rhinestones.
No, you haven't. Well, at least you weren't supposed to. I was hiding in that bush for completely different purposes. No, I think I'm virtually at the groaning and moaning on the lavatory phase of Elvis Presley's life. That's roughly where I am.
OK. Now, Mark, have you got an answer to this?
I think the clue was uniquely unqualified. I think he was a nutritionist.
Rebecca.
I went for Hotel Porter, because I was thinking down at the end of Lonely Street. He might have been, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it was called Heartbreak Hotel. You think, oh, I wonder if there's an Elvis theme. Blimey, the man taking my bags. He looks just like an old fat Elvis. That's... Oh, sorry, it was you, Elvis.
Clive, really? Are either of these two right?
No, the real answer is even more surprising and sort of bizarre. He volunteered to be an FBI agent. He wasn't particularly well qualified because to be an FBI agent would be a bit undercover, I suppose. And since he was one of the most famous men in the world, he wouldn't be able to do it. But he wrote to Richard Nixon, wrote a long handwritten letter and had a meeting with Richard Nixon, gave Nixon a present, bizarrely, which was a Colt 45 gun, to sort of encourage the whole idea, and he was duly appointed as a...
One of those rare bad decisions Nixon ever made. Yes, in his war on drugs, Nixon employed Elvis as a federal at-large. Really, it was the at-large bit, I think, that Elvis really excelled at there, wasn't it? Anyway, listen, while we're on the subject of American music, I'm going to speak to Mr. Rory McGrath, if he's there. Rory, why are you dressed up as well?
I'm quite nervous because this is the first time I've done one of these things with all my clothes on.
He actually hasn't got any trousers on, so if he goes...